Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday night Q&A ahead of round 20. Yes, we are into the round with the 2 starting in front of it. So 2-0, meaning that we've only got 5 weeks left in the AFL Fantasy season for 2025. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me are a couple of my co-hosts and fellow AFL Fantasy Fanatics. We'll start off with a man that wasn't with us on Sunday night, but he is still going to be pretty happy from the weekend, from a certain Crows result. But it is a good friend, Jordox. Jordox, mate, how are you? How was the weekend?
Good, mate. Good to see you. Yes, I was busy Sunday night watching the Crows put on a clinic. It was quite a nice way to finish the weekend, I must say. But yeah, going well. Terrible week in fantasy. Fantasy can get stuffed. My team can get in the bin. Apart from that, going really well.
Oh, good to hear about that, but not good to hear about the fantasy. There you go. Maybe you have to start looking at AFLW fantasy, mate, because that's right around the corner, and then you might be able to get a hat or something there. So we'll see how we go. But jumping on once again is Jordy. Jordy, mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, not too much different from Sunday. So, yeah, week's gone fast and still have absolutely no idea what trades to do. So, yeah, keen to chat tonight. And, yeah, I think this week I actually have no idea what to do. So, yeah, we'll chat. And a few news today as well, Bales, we have to chat about. So,
yes. Yeah. Yep, definitely. But we will get a quick recap from Jordox on his AFL fantasy weekend, even though probably would rather just skip over it and move forward. But Jordox, what did you score in round 19? What was your score, your round rank and overall rank?
Alrighty, so I scored 2063. Round rank was about 6.4 billion, and overall is shot back up to 9259. So I got it down to 7, and yeah, back up to 92. Still inside 10K though, which is good.
Oh, George, you make me laugh, mate. You make me laugh. Plus and minus 3.
Oh, +3. I have been waiting since Thursday night to give this out to Kai Lohmann, you absolute superstar. I had to keep Nick Martin, play Lohmann, couldn't do any loops. Just had to say, go on, son, give us your best. And he gave me a 78. And I thought I was off to the races, but it was all downhill from there. -3. Jeez. Look, I'm going to give it to Errol Goulden, who I picked up last week. I wasn't too upset with his score. He's still only just a few weeks back into it. But because of all the shenanigans, I couldn't get Grundy. So I thought, oh, if I can get a captain that can come close to matching Grundy. And I thought Goulden was quite a smart move. And he was on 80 at 3/4 time. And I thought, yeah, this has worked really well. And then inexplicably, he dropped 6 points in the last quarter to finish on 86 as my captain. And he wasn't my worst scorer, but that was when I knew it's all over.
Yep, not a good quarter from him. At least Brodie Grundy had the excuse that he was rested on the bench, and he still put up a 129, whereas Errol Goulden didn't really rest much the last quarter, but still didn't put up a good score. So that is very, very unfortunate from him. We do have a super chat already from Tim, so thank you, mate. He says scored 22.55, so snap. There you go. Both scored the exact same this week, Tim, except you're ranked 59th. I'm ranked 3,700. So you're having a lot better year than me. He's like saying, do I go Marshall to Grundy or Merritt to Steele or Daniel to Myers? Can do one of those other trades next week. So, Jordy, if you had to pick one of those trades, or if Tim's doing 2 of them, sort of rank in order your preference in terms of Marshall to Grundy, Merritt to Steele, and then Daniel to Myers. What would be your preference in order?
Geez, super luxury, which is awesome. And I like Tim attacking. It's great. Grundy is it's enticing me there. I know Marshall has got a good run. I know Bales have been chatting about it. But Grundy's name is just drawing to my attention there because there's talk about him going 130 for the rest of the year. And Marshall could have this 2 ruck set up. So that one's looking at me first, I think. I think the second one is Merit to Steele. And the third one's Daniel to Myers, only because Daniel and Myers, the gap is probably not, I think the other gap for the other two could be larger potentially.
Yeah.
What's your take, Bales?
I think I agree because Tim's up there. Marshall this week against Gawn, I think we'll put up a bit of a lower score, and you're getting Grundy, who I think is going to outscore Marshall regardless for the rest of the year. So I'll do that this week, get that the points from the upgrade from Grundy, and then Merit to Steele is great next week because Merit's got the James Jordan tag. I think he then goes. Merit goes pretty much 4 tags to end the year. So that's why I'm looking at him as a trade out next week. So he's obviously got the Dogs this week. No tag will be coming for Merit there. But then he goes Sydney. That'll be a Jordan tag. Into Geelong. That'll be a Mullen or O'Connor, I would imagine. Into St Kilda, which will be, maybe Windhager. Windhager hasn't been doing tags as much. And then Carlton haven't been running tags either, but could cop attention. I'm just worried with Merit, just with the fact he's with Essendon. He didn't even get tagged against GOS, who have been giving up points when not tagging, and he still only got to that 99, which isn't too bad considering there were other lower scores. But I think that's a trade next week you can do. Daniel Myers is also a good trade. I do like that move, but I'd probably have it in the same order there, Jordy. But you did allude to some news that dropped today, and one of our favourite fantasy players and a Carlton great, I'd put it there, in Sam Docherty, unfortunately hanging up the boots, retiring with his final game on Thursday night. So I think that's the big news from today. But Jordox, I think that the big question I want to ask you is he a trade? Because if it's his last game, you'd imagine that they're going to try and feed him the ball a fair bit. Maybe my favourite guys in Matt Carroll, Ollie Hollins, and Lockie Cowan might not be ignoring him every time they see him. They'll actually go to him. So is he a trade still if he's like the guy that is still the guy in your team needs to go? Or is it maybe better to loop him on the bench because they play the first game and see what he scores in his final game?
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? I think if you were going to trade him, if he was on the trade table, I think you still go ahead with it. As much as we have this fairy tale idea of what the farewell game will look like, he might go okay. But yeah, I think if you were already trading him, I wouldn't hold him just for this. I don't think anything. I mean, they might try and get him a goal late or something, but the reality is they're playing Hawthorn. It's going to be a tough game, and the thing with Doc that Doc owners would know is he's kind of more up on the wing at the moment anyway. So I think they're going to continue to give that spot to the likes of Cowan and Sard, who's now back. Silvani might be back in too, which is another spot in that back six. So yeah, if you can loop him and see how he goes, but no, if he was on the trade table for you already, stick with it because he ain't playing next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jordy, where do you sit on this? Because obviously you were messaging me today saying you're just like, nah, holding him now. But obviously we'll have the chat. We'll have the chat now. What do you think? Because for me, he was one of the more obvious guys that I was trading this week. But now it's like final game, it might get that bump in sort of usage. But then obviously you're banking in that trade the week after. Is it better to just trade, or would you hold him for his final game?
I do agree with Jordox. Like, he could go forward and they try and get him a goal, depending on the game situation. You're right. It is a trade next week. I think I'm going to hold him because I can loop. So the worst case, say we do get injuries next week and I can't move him for some reason, like, Cherry and Martin happened last week. Say something like that happens, then he's an added one. He is a loop with McCarthy. So I have McCarthy there. So I think I'm just going to bank him. I'm just going to loop him Thursday. I'm going to keep him. Mine was Chera or Doc this week, and I think I'm just going to get rid of Chera. I'm going to lock that in Thursday night, and then I can play around with it once I look at see final teams and stuff. And I think I'm just going to, I'm going to ride Doc. I think hopefully he can get 100. And I was trying to look at some data today of retirement games and who has actually done well when announcing retirement and done well. And the only ones I can think of, I don't know if you remember, like Shannon Hearn a couple of years ago, he didn't play for like 4 weeks. And then I actually traded him a few years ago. I traded him in because he was so cheap. He only got 89. We all thought he might go 100. The other one was that came to mind was Brendan Goddard. I think he went 116 on his last game, and he was only averaging 75 that year, and he went 116. So I don't know. I do agree. Yeah.
Didn't Luke Hodge, when he left Hawthorn or Brisbane, one of the two, that went quite big in one of his last games, I remember. So, yeah, I guess it's interesting, right? Part of me is like, well, Doc's been one of my favourite fantasy players to own over the journey, and part of me wants to keep him, but I'm also in a relegation battle in Hat Chat League 6, so I'm like, well, can I afford to take the chance and hold him? So it's an interesting one. I'd be keen to know what people are thinking. If you've got Doc and tuning in now, comment in the comments or in the live chat if you're watching along live. What do you guys think? Are you guys holding Doc for a final game, or are you guys trading Jordox?
The other thing I'd say too, a couple of people put in the chat, Josh Candy kicked 8 in his last game, which does sound right. I think with these farewell games, it's when the side where the player's retiring is like the dominant side that wins by a lot, and that's not going to happen Thursday night. So I don't know if you guys might be too young to remember Spider Burton. He played for Freo in North Melbourne. He was the tallest player in the game before Sandilands, and his last game for North was against Carlton. They smashed him by 100 points. And there's this, you should look it up on YouTube, this ridiculous play where they are turning their back on goal to pass to this big ruckman so he could kick a goal to finish. Anyway, that just popped in my mind. That's not happening Thursday night because the Carlton aren't smashing Hawthorn.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's an interesting one. I think unfortunately, he's still a trade, but it does feel bad. I feel like I'm almost doing him a disservice if I do trade him.
Well, it's a cutthroat business, Bales, and if he wanted to stay on your side, he should have performed. So there you go.
Yeah. Got another super chat here from Jam. He's saying, trading Elijah Hewitt and have 914K. What's my options? So, Jordy, I'll give you a moment to have a look at the price range there. But 914, I guess if you didn't have Matt Kenny's 5K just over, which is unfortunate. But 914 pretty much gets you from Adam Chera down, but you're not bringing in Adam Chera. Like the names that are popping out to me are maybe like a Bailey Dale, who has got Essendon this week. I'd be shocked if he didn't get some sort of attention the way that he dominated last game, but he is there as an option. But there ain't a huge amount else except for maybe some forwards like Petrarca, Warner, Pickett, Dylan Moore, guys like that. Is there anyone that takes your fancy there, Jordy?
Yeah, I think you've said it there. I think the forwards, depending on, what sort of forwards he's got, I think, maybe a Warner. I was looking at Dylan Moore as well. Those sorts of guys who you could potentially grab one of them, and then you're gonna have them as your F6 for the rest of the year. I think that's your best bet. Maybe going down, I think Harley Reid is been traded in a bit.
Flanders, Sam Darcy against the Bombers.
Yep, that could. I've got Sam Darcy, and I really hope he kicks 5 goals. Against Essendon, because I need a big score from him as unique. So if you want to take the punt, you could definitely do that. I think Bailey Dale was probably the safest. I know they might give him attention this week, but he looked pretty good last week.
Good run for in the year.
And good run. So he's probably your safest one. But if you want to take a punt, maybe Sam Darcy and then Dylan Moore, Warner, Pickett.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably where I'd go as well. I would have really liked Pickett if it wasn't Saints. I know that Windhager hasn't been tagging, and people will probably say, he's not doing the job at the moment. But if you remember back to that Alice Springs game, Windhager went to Cosy Pickett and did a very good job. And St Kilda won that game, and Cosy didn't have a very good day. So I'd be shocked if they didn't go back there again because it worked. So that would be the only reason I wouldn't go Cosy, because otherwise I do like Cosy as a pick. Probably just not this way. But I think Bailey Dale is the pick. I do really like Sam Darcy, though. If people are looking at bringing a forward and they want a sugar hit, don't think you get really much better than Sam Darcy against a depleted Essendon team, and even his run on the way home, like they've got a couple of trickier matchups. So they got the Giants the week after, but then they go Melbourne, West Coast, Freo to finish. I think there could be some couple of nice scores from Darcy there, particularly as an F7 if you've got the cash that you can make that work. But yeah, Dale for me would also be the pick. But yeah, we'll obviously continue to answer a heap of these questions. But one question I wanted to pose to you guys here is, a lot of people, I think, are looking in the midfield this week, are looking at maybe one of those bigger midfielders if they're upgrading, I guess, some of these midfielders. And a couple of the names that have come to mind, a lot of people looking at is like a Jack Steele, a Josh Dunkley, Matt Rowe's been talked about a little bit as well as an option. Jordox, how would you rank, I guess, those three midfielders that if you're looking to bring one of those guys in, who would it be? And if you wanted to add anyone to that list there, feel free. Like maybe your boy, Tim Taranto.
Bloody Taranto. He needs to just stop it. I think Steele is really, he's up over 1 mil now. Would have been very smart to grab him a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, if you're going up and you want to spend some big boy dollars, I think Steele, I like his run. He's tackling his last 3 weeks is averaging, I think, 14 tackles a game. And it's Jack Steele season. This is when he does his best work. When the track gets wet and there's lots of stoppers, he gets amongst it, and he's doing it very nicely at the moment. He was on 88 at halftime, and I thought he was set for a whopper. But not sure what happened in the second half. He just slowed down. But Rao's interesting.
Nassiah was taking all the points.
Yeah, Nassiah. Rao's interesting. I just
shout out to Jake from Hat Chat. Obviously, we were chatting to him last night. Obviously, I was on the Hat Chat pod. I'm sure you guys listen to Hat Chat, but if you haven't already, check it out. It's a very good chat with DC and Jake. But shout out to Jake. He brought in Matt Rao about 7 or 8 weeks ago, and he's got every week he's got a ton. And
wow,
even he said he didn't expect it to go that well. But yeah, very, very good trade and great pick.
Yeah. And then Goulden's still there. A couple of off weeks. I think he'll get better. Don't know. That's probably it. Bont is pretty good at the minute as well. It's just with the ceiling scores. That's probably it. Jordy, you got any of the big boys at the top?
No, I agree with that list. I think I think if you can get Steele, Bales and I were chatting about it Sunday or Monday. If you can get Steele this week, he's probably only going to go up in price from now because he's got a really green run, or the green mile they call it. So I like him. But if you haven't got the money, there's, even like if you don't have to go a midfielder, like even Harry Sheasel, like he's pretty cheap. Like he's 1 mil. I know he's playing half forward, but he just keeps getting it done, and he's consistent, and he's highly owned. Or Zorko, even if you want a defender, did you know, like the last round of the year will be Zorko's 300th game, round 24.
Oh. You're going to want him then.
So round 24, Zorko's 300th, like that's grand final in fantasy. Like he's got he typically goes well against Gold Coast as well this week. He's one I'm looking at. Also, I was just looking at milestones today, and Zach Merritt's 250th game is in 3 rounds, around 23. So I was just doing some numbers on milestones, and Libba went massive on his 250th. Whitfield went massive. Toby Green went massive. Laird went massive. McRae.
Boy.
So there's a few coming up. So Merritt and Zorko, they're 2 coming up. So could you get them for that? That's I was just deep diving into that today, along with retirements and stuff and scores, but I couldn't get too far. It's hard to find, but yeah.
So if Merritt's 250th is in round 23 against the Saints, it would just be the most Ross Lyon thing to do to go, Windy, go stand on the milestone man for that.
Yeah.
I'll go against, but I do like Matt Kennedy at 919k as a mid forward. I'm not opposed to bringing him in as a mid in the mids this week, and then you can trade Caleb Daniel, Isaac Rankin, one of those forwards to a midfielder next week. Maybe it's an Errol Goulden against the Bombers next week. So I do like that. I do like Josh Dunkley. Probably didn't chat about him as much in that conversation, but he's obviously got 3 scores over 124 in his 3 of his last 4 have been over that. Got the Gold Coast this week, who's got an average of over 115 against in his 11 career games, which is crazy to average that much over your career against one opponent. But it's also up at the Gold Coast where it's expected to be quite wet again in that game. So there could be a lot of Dunkley tackles. And ever since I keep hearing people say that Dunkley made a comment about the tackles not being paid and everything, and he's been paid them all the last 2 weeks. So he's getting in amongst it. Tough matchups to come after this week: Collingwood, Sydney, Freo, Hawthorn. But you could almost say, well, those games could be suited to a guy like Josh Dunkley. A lot of tackles, contested games. So I do like them. But yeah, Jack Steele for me is the one. If you're upgrading, if you've got the 1.06 million, he's unique, only 4.1% ownership. Because he's expensive, I don't think there are going to be heaps and heaps of people jumping over him. He's probably going to be one of the more popular premium upgrades. But yeah, I think he's still going to be fairly unique. He's only had 2 scores since round 8 below a ton. That was an awful 66 against Collingwood, which I remember hearing people saying, is he good enough still? Should he be in the team? They need to make way and put a guy like Nassiah in. But they've put Nassiah in. They've also left him in there, and he's been fantastic, particularly last 3 weeks. And when he takes 5 marks or more, is when he puts up these good scores, and he's marking, which is good. If he's putting the marks together with the tackles, that's when we see the 110 plus Jack Steele, which is a guy we really want to own in fantasy. So I'm a big fan of that pick if people are looking there. Got another couple of super chats here as well. So Tim's put another one through. Thank you, mate. He's saying, are you doing the Patreon rankings this week? And do I keep Doc and go McCarthy to Steele? If you can go McCarthy to Steele,
oh baby,
that's a great trade, and I'd do that over the Marshall to Grundy one. In terms of Patreon rankings, yes, I'll be doing that at some point, either this week or next week, Tim. Obviously, he's referring to the Patreon Cup for all the Patreon members in there. The winner will get a cash prize. So if you'd like to be involved in that, then sign up next year to the Patreon, and we'll be running that again there. But no, thank you, Tim, for the other super chat there. And Will Bide has sent through a super chat. I'm just trying to find his question. Here we go. He says, Jordox, can I go Rowston or Liddy down to like a Will Lorenz and then go Ned Long up to Steele or Dunkley? Or should I bite the bullet and just get Nassiah? So what are your thoughts on, well, Long out first because Long's got Richmond. I'm assuming that we're all still fine trading if he's the worst player you've got in your team. But is it Steele or Dunkley? Or are you biting the bullet for Nassiah, who has got Melbourne? And I do expect Ed Langdon to stand alongside him for a lot of that game.
Yeah, but no one's tagging him. So we keep saying it every week. He'll cop a tag, but it just doesn't happen. It's a great question, Will, and it's something I think a lot of non-NAS owners are going to have to be considering. And I know I am.
Because you want him for this run, like they got Melbourne. I'm talking about potential tab. You don't want to miss him for the next 3 weeks. They go North Melbourne, Richmond, Essendon. I don't see anyone from those 3 teams that will be able to go with him.
No. I would. Yeah, I reckon at 1.1 versus what Steele is
1.06, about 80k, and then Dunkley's like bang on $1 million.
Yeah. I reckon I'd say get Wanganeen-Milera.
Did you get Nassiah? Jordox? Oh, sorry, not just answer the question. Jordy. It's funny when I've got Jordox and Jordy. It's like you sort of, because the names are so similar. It's like you sort of get mixed up one and the other. But Jordy, where would you go with this one here?
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough question because Steele's run is good, but yeah, maybe you just get Naz. I think the podcasts the last couple of weeks, everyone said their mental health is better when you've got Naz. So, and I know the pod mentioned that. Louis mentioned that to me, Holmesy, everyone. So, yeah, I think, Naz, I think he's pretty highly owned as well. I don't know where Will is ranked, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to afford him and you're not breaking your team, you're going long to Naz, like, do you just do it?
Yeah, I can see the appeal. I'd go Jack Steele out of these options here. I think that the run is obviously great, same team, and I'd get Nassiah. If you can get okay, this is probably what I'd say. If you can't get Nassiah next week, just get him this week. Okay, might drop a lower score potentially if he gets the tag, but you've got him for the run, right? If you can get Steele and then also guarantee getting Nassiah next week, I'd go Jack Steele this week, and then Nassiah the week after. That's how I think I would go there, Will. Next question we got from a friend of the show, Jesse from the Contest Fantasy Footy Show, saying Matt Rao's role is mint. He's just broken so many hearts in past years. And it's funny because he was really, really good at the beginning of his career, then obviously had that injury. And then from then, it's just been sort of up and down, whereas this year it seems to be right up there. Jordy, would you go Matt Rao over any of these other options, or do you think that you would just stick to a Jack Steele or maybe Josh Dunkley?
Yeah, it all comes down to like a pod, really, doesn't it? So like looking at the highest tradings, I'm pretty sure Jack Steele is the highest sort of premium, followed by Dunkley. So, you know, if you want to match, I guess like they're probably the two. But Rao, like he looks like I was there on Sunday, and he looks good. Like I don't know, it's a pod. I think if you're looking for that and where you're ranked, maybe you go there. And that's why, like, right now it's so hard because these are all great players, and it's just picking the run or, you know, you're trying to go against. Yeah.
I reckon with Rao, if you got on a month ago or when he was well under a mil, then well done, fantastic. But to pay it now, the thing that concerns me is it's always the same story with Rowley is his score build, and it is heavily reliant on tackles, and that's been fine because he's tackling like an absolute madman. But if for whatever reason he doesn't get a good amount of tackles, he'll get plenty of the pill, but he doesn't take marks. He doesn't. He took 2 on the weekend, and it's great. That's huge, but he doesn't take marks. If I compare him to similar players like Dunkley and Steele, if Dunkley and Steele have a game where the tackling's not there, they can still give you a big score because they can take 8-9 marks in a game. Yeah, so I'm not betting against Rao continuing this, but if you look at it, if you could be critical of someone who's gone on this run, and I'm splitting hairs, the last 2 has been 118 and 140. That 140 was huge. But before that, they're just low tons. They're just 103, 106, 107, which is great. But this time of the year, you want the big punch. So, yeah, they're my thoughts on Rao.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. A few people say my mic was glitching and that, but I'm hoping it's fixed. I unplugged it and plugged it back in. So I don't know if that was affecting anyone. I only seen like 1 or 2 people said it, but
yeah,
hopefully
it wasn't glitching for me. Just you're cutting in and out at times, and now you sound quite different. But we can hear you, so we'll push on.
Yeah, I'll double check that it is still on the right microphone. No, it's still on the right microphone. So maybe it was just maybe unplug it and plug it back in again makes it a bit better. So hopefully it is all good, and we will keep pushing on. But that is what happens when we have live content. We've got a fix on the run. So
that's
there
right.
You go. Got so many questions flying through here. Jack says, rank Jordy, Bont, Rao, Steele, and Dunkley. So we'll go one by one. So Bont v Rao.
Bont.
Where would Steele go? Top?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were doing a versus for a second then. I think Steele's number 1 with the run, with the green mile.
And then
I'd probably go
Dunkley. Where would you put him in?
Oh, maybe it's Steele. Maybe it's Steele, Dunkley, Bont, Rao.
I would agree. I think
I'd go
matchups.
I'd go Steele. Bont, Dunks, Rao.
Yeah.
Margin.
Yeah, I think Steele's definitely top. I think Rao is probably bottom, and that's probably disrespectful because of how good he's been. But as you say, Jordox, the other guys there, Bont, when he racks up if Bont doesn't get tackles, he can rack up the marks. If he doesn't get the marks, he can rack up the tackles. And there are obviously games when all these guys can maybe put up a low score, but they can do it in multiple ways. Whereas the Rao's the one that doesn't get the marks. And if he doesn't get those tackles, then it might be a lower one. But yeah, shout out to anyone that's got Matt round their team. You'd be very much enjoying what he's been dishing up for you. Figsy is saying Grundy or Nassiah to get in this week. Can get either one next week as well. So Jordox, if you could only get one of them this week, Grundy or Nassiah, where would you go? Does this maybe go towards, well, Nassiah is the one out of the two that could potentially cop attention, so you go Grundy this week and then Nassiah next week?
I'm going to throw this back to you, Bales and Jordy, because this is the exact dilemma I have this week. Grundy
Like,
or
you don't
Naz.
know Nassiah?
No. Did I tell you what my rank was before? You should have guessed I don't have Nassiah. I got him in DT. I'm going well in DT. Anyway.
Who are your rucks? That's the question I've got.
Yeah, so I've got Luke Jackson and Rowan Marshall in the rucks at the minute.
Grundy, easy. Put Jackson to the forward line, get Grundy, and then get Nassiah next week. Jordy, I assume yours is the same?
Yeah, there's so many points. Like, Jackson's gone up. Darcy's in the ruck more now, so Jackson's fine, and he's gone good as a forward. He's probably at 80, 90. Good match up this week, though. But I think you're going to get more points by flicking him forward and having Grundy in the ruck.
It's still going to be Grundy versus Naz for points on field this week, yeah? Because I've got Jackson anyway.
So who's the player that you're getting up to it?
Yeah, let's see. So if I get him, he goes there. Otherwise, it would be... Because it's Nick Martin I'm trading out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Grundy. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I don't have a link from my mids to my forwards. So it has to be Grundy. So that's an easy answer.
I think Figsy. I think for your dilemma in terms of would you go Nassiah or Grundy, just depends who you're trading out. And particularly if you've got Jackson as your R2, you've got to do the Grundy one because you're not comparing Jackson to the rucks. You're essentially comparing your F6 to the rucks, which is maybe it's a Caleb Daniel or an Isaac Rankin, and they're scoring 60s, 70s, and 80s. And these rucks like Grundy, Gawn, English are all going 110, 120 on a lot of the occasions. So, I'd be going for the ruck one. But either or, obviously, you want both in your team by the end of the season. Papa Rondad, Jordy, says Marshall to Gawn and Rankin to Dylan Moore. So I think Rankin Dylan Moore, I guess, what are your thoughts? Because I guess Rankin Dylan Moore put up a massive score, but is it too sideways for you? And what are your thoughts on Marshall to Gawn, that trade? Because it's a bit aggressive, a bit luxury, but I know a few people, including myself, have definitely thought about that this week.
Yeah, I think, if your team if he doesn't have Doc or Chera or Colby or these guys, and he's got a pretty good side, like obviously we need to trade someone. So Rankin is probably he's spending a lot of time forward. So, but also is more up that half forward role. But obviously 143 is hard to ignore. So I don't mind it if that's the best thing he's got to do. I think, as you said, but Gawn's got a really good run, and it's hard to. The thing with Marshall is he does have a good run as well after this week, but there's the two rucks are there, so it's these margins of luxury upgrading where I think Gawn is going to outscore more. So it probably is that. Yeah.
We've got a super chat from Corey Blackledge. Where'd that go? There it is. He is asking, when it pops on the screen, thoughts on Nick Martin and Jason Horne-Francis to Tim English and Teakle, or another 650k forward, or keep Jackson in the ruck and get a Manor and a Kennedy. I think on the... Geez. Jordy, is this somewhere where you could maybe go for Teakle as an option as just a 2-week play here? Because I think I prefer English of all these, but Kennedy is still a good option. Manor was great last week, but obviously can Manor continue putting up these scores? So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'd rather Kennedy over Manor because Kennedy's done it pretty much all year, and he looked really good, as we said, Bale Sunday night. The thing is here is English and Teakle or 650k forward. So I wonder what his ruck situation is, because he could actually go Gawn or Grundy, because Teakle's not 650k.
Yeah, I reckon if he's if he's held Martin and Horn Francis last week, you'd think Cherry's already pretty.
I'm thinking
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe, you know, a lot of people with Jackson in the ruck, I would have thought would be targeting Gawn because of that price drop and then the run. So I'm just wondering, Teakle's there, but it's $650K forward. There's a little bit of extra money. I'm wondering maybe it's just Gawn and Teakle instead of English.
Yeah. I still like English as a unique play, though, because I think his run's still great. But you could definitely go for Gawn, save a bit of money, and then maybe that money will help you eventually get Teakle up when you do look to trade him. So it's a tricky one, but I think the Ruck trade is where I'd go, I think, and get Teakle for a couple of weeks, and then you can trade him in a couple of weeks' time. We did have another super chat here. Where did that go? So Will had another one, and he says, what do we got here? So he's like, do I get Steele or Dunks next week from Long and trade Colby early to Nassiah next week, or potentially a Merritt or Butters to Nassiah with tags? I'm ranked 4,594, by the way, Jordy. I think that's a good plan. I think, one is Steele Dunkley this week, and then I'd be happy to trade Merritt next week and get Nassiah. That would be the ticket to doing that. Jordox, I want to get your thoughts on Colby McKerch, because a few people are looking at trading him. I'm personally not as worried about Colby as maybe other people are. He got tagged by James Jordan for 3 quarters, essentially, and started really well, but I don't really think there are going to be many more tags on the way home, and he's still averaging about that 95 mark since he's been in this half-back role. So what are your thoughts on McKercher? Is he someone that, if he's your worst player, you could look at trading, or do you think it'd almost be better served for those coaches, if they've got the money, to make him their 23rd primos? He's a defender mid, and you can loop him potentially as in your M9 or D7 spot. Obviously, that's very specific for some teams, but what are your thoughts on McKercher?
Yeah, no, I'm not too worried about him. I mean, the role has been exactly what we thought it would be, and I would be surprised if there's not another 120 or, a couple of big scores before the year's out. So I think you're right. I hope it's not a common thing we see, sides tagging McKercher. But yeah, if he's the worst and you can get him out, then fine. But yeah, I'd be surprised if he was the biggest problem in anyone's side at the moment.
Yeah, I'm looking at the run here. Like Geelong didn't take Nassiah, so they're not going to take Nassiah. They ain't taking Colby. Then St Kilda, who haven't been tagging of late either. Then they've got the Giants, who, again, Bedford hasn't been tagging, and I think Giants will be able to win that game and not worry about any attention. Then they got Richmond and then Adelaide. So I don't really think there's going to be any tags on the way home. So I think he's still fine to hold. I still don't. If you can still go him up to a Jack Steele or someone like that, and you're going, well, he's my worst player, then I could tick it off. But I think most cases, I think he's still fine there as well. Corey Bladage, another super chat. Thank you, mate. Saying Marshall and Jackson are my 2 rucks. So yeah, doing that ruck trade, putting Jackson back into your forward line, and having
Would you
an
go
English
Grunty?
Regawn. I don't know if he'd have the. He might have the cash if he's going Teakle. What would you pay up for Grundy over a Gawn or an English? Because obviously the difference is like 140K now between Gawn and Grundy, and obviously Gawn's now got the good run, right? So where would you be going, Jordy?
Yeah, Grundy's his name just, like, what's he going to do? 130 maybe for the rest of the year? Like, yeah, I don't know. I just, my eyes light up when I see Grundy. So, but yeah, I've got both. I've got Gawn and Grundy. I think they're good options.
Yep, I think they're all good options, Corey. I think take the ruck you like the most is where I'd probably say to go there. We got here. Stu says Lohman to Myers and then McKercher to Sarong. So Jordox that. So I think Lohman to Myers we're ticking off, and McKercher to Sarong. What are your thoughts on Sarong? I guess if he could only do one of these trades, I think we're saying Lohman to Myers is definitely the play. But if you can do 2 trades and he banked it, I think he actually might have banked a heap of cash because he took Lohman's score, if memory serves me correct, there. So I'm assuming you can do both trades. What are your thoughts on Sarong as an in?
Well, he's got West Coast this week, and I feel like he's won what do they call it? The Glendenning medal. I feel like he's won the last 5 of them or something. But so he'll be up for a big one. I don't know. He just makes me nervous, Sarong. I guess it's one of those high risk, high reward guys. He's a great price, $9.56.
His run after this, he's got what? Carlton. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they put some attention there because people know that you tag Sarong, he's going to be poor. But then they go Port, Brisbane, Dogs. Even if they're not tags, they are tough matchups.
Glendenning Allen medal. Thank you, Max. Yeah, I wonder what else is around that $9.50 price.
Your boy,
Taranto. No, don't get Taranto,
mate. I'm surprised. I'm almost surprised you end up trading him out in the end because your fellow coaches panelists, obviously Mini Monks got him there, and MJ has been keen the last couple of weeks, and he's gone well. He's gone 132, 124. Obviously good matchups, but he goes Collingwood, Gold Coast, St Kilda, North Melbourne, and Geelong. So some good matchups in there. Could you bring him back?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, possibly because I'd trust Sarong over him. That's for sure. What else we got in them 50? You reckon Jordy? Talk about wrong.
Yeah, I think like at this point, I don't know. I mean, with my team, I always pick players that I like. Is sort of if they, if there's if it's Toronto versus Sarong, it's like okay, which one can you watch and you like? Because they're all unreal. I think, yeah. I mean, Sarong, like he's got a tough run, but I think that's good for a player like him. So I think if you like him, like Mini Monk, for example, brought him in last week. Even with the tough run, and he got rewarded this week. And he messaged me and showed me his trades, and I said, Sarong, like tough run. He goes, yeah, like he's obviously a Freo fan, and he said, yeah, but he likes this, and it's good. He's got the run is good, and he watches every Freo game. So I think sometimes trust the eye. If you like him, yeah, I think as you said, there's not a heap of options around that price. So. It's not the worst shout.
Yeah. Also around that price as well, like a Jack Sinclair, if you don't have him, I know he's quite popular, but they've obviously got that great run. I do like him. Matt Kenny, obviously mentioned him before as well. I'd also like if you don't have him there as well. Shayan says Manor is so underrated. He's averaged close to Warner from his hot run before last week. Manor was great last week, 144. He was one of the picks that we probably could have gone to. I could have gone to, but didn't really look at him too much, to be honest. And they've got a pretty good run. The only thing I would say about Manor is if you look at his scores outside of that game before, he was only averaging 81.6 before that. He scored a ton against the Dogs in round 11, but then went 79, 99, 81, 49, 82, 66. So it is like a lot of the forwards. So I'm not sure I'd be going there, but they do have North Melbourne this week. Then they go Port, Essendon, Sydney, Richmond. Jordy, could you go Manor as a forward pick?
It's not one that I go for, but look, he's got the numbers and the forward line's just doing 70s, as we were saying Sunday night, the 70s club. So he's got the runs on the board. He's not the worst option as a pod. So, yeah, I think if you like him, Geelong, I feel like, Geelong winning games, kicking goals, like that's his bread and butter. I think he kicked 3 on the weekend and obviously got a bunch of it. So,
there's 11 tackles.
Yeah.
11 tackles was, what stood out. I mean, before that, he actually did 11 tackles earlier in the year. Yeah, he's a big tackler. But, I don't know. At that price, Sam Darcy's a similar price. Luke Parker's just a tick 30K higher.
Oh, don't go there.
35K.
Don't go there.
Yeah, I know he's not your friend at the minute, but
40,
bad game
48. 48.
Yeah.
You know about this, Jordox and Jordy, because I sent this to you. I said, weekend ruin. It's done. As soon as he scored the 48. And yes, I know I threw the baby out of the bathwater because Jack McRae didn't do that much better.
You got more points.
Yeah, when you get a 48 from a trade-in and you've got to sit there and watch it. I couldn't enjoy Brady Grundy. He scored 129 as VC, and I was like, Okay, cool. But Luke Parker. So, as you can see, I'm still a little bit annoyed from this. So I'll tell you what, Luke Parker had better turn up. Otherwise, I don't care if Merritt's got 10 tags coming. I'll keep him and I'll trade Parker. So
yeah,
I'll probably
he'll bounce back, Parker.
I hope so. That was he got unlucky, but yeah, that was just a very, very frustrating watch. LM says trade Rosie for Whitfield, Mills to anyone 947k, or downgrade a rookie to a red dot and turn Mills to anyone. So Jordox, I want to get your thoughts on trading into, because I guess Rosie, right, it'll determine whether he plays or not. Because if he plays, I'd be holding, I think. But Whitfield, I want to get your thoughts on trading in Whitfield this week, because I think there's a very good chance he's going to get a James Jordan tag or a Braden Campbell tag if Jordan goes to Callaghan. Would you just park Whitfield for a week and look at him and bring him in next week? Because he's still so cheap that you're going to be able to get him, you would think, regardless, and then just go Mills up to maybe Jack Steele or a Nassiah or a Josh Dunkley or someone that you're really, really keen on in the sort of higher echelons of price.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Whitfield, because he did all right with that tag last time. He got a 107, I think. He got the Jordan tag last time. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been. I think it was Calvin. Calvin said that he's been tagged the last 7 times by James Jordan or something like, which is crazy.
The other thing about Whitfield that I've noticed, he had the 120 the other week against the Cats. Apart from that, he's been very good, but there hasn't been much in the way of, those big, huge Whitfield scores. Round 6 against the Crows, he went 140, and the other week he went 120. So, yeah, I reckon you could avoid him for a week and look to get him after the tag, potentially. My question is why you'd be looking at trading Mills out. I mean, how good are some of these teams if you're looking at trading Mills out?
I'm fine trading Mills personally. I know he scored the ton. He was good, but we know that there is that risk of the injuries and stuff. He's got that injury history. He's got the Giants this week. I don't love that. He's got the Bombers the week after, which I do like, but I almost think that Mills could be a player that if they're up by 10 goals against the Bombers, he could be someone that's just given a bit of a rest in the last quarter. They gave it to Grundy on the weekend. It could be Mills, and he goes Brisbane. And he's not top 6. So people looking to upgrade those last guys on field. I'm probably going to hold him this week, but I'm fine people trading him if you're in that position.
Why wouldn't he be top 6 though?
He's not on the level of like you look at the defenders.
But he's been out. He's been out for so long, and what's he done now? He's come back.
He's been a very up and down. He's essentially gone like near 100, 60, near 100, 60, 105, and he's got a tough matchup.
So he's been playing. He's played 5 in a row now. Yeah, I don't know. I just reckon he could just continue to build. But I like the role.
I'm just looking at these defenders here. Like you got Nassiah, you've got Holmes, Ash, your boy Jordy, Rosie, Sheasel, Zorko, Josh Dacos, even a Clark, Sinclair, Whitfield, Bailey Dale, who's obviously been up and down, but it's got a great matchup. And I'll put my boy Lairdy in there as well. Maybe not ahead of Mills, but I'm just saying Lairdy's turned up in 3 of his last 4. I thought he was going to be going these 90s, but his output it's improving. So I might bring Lairdy in round 24 against North just because I want to have Laird at some point this year.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So I'm not sitting here saying get Mills, but just, if you have him, I don't know if there's a rush to get him out, but other people's teams are probably a lot better than mine. So that may explain that.
Sneaker Fusion, Jordy says, who do I get rid of out of McKercher, Flanders, Sam Darcy, or Jack Martin? Can go up to anyone by downgrading a rookie. So I'm going to just start off by saying it's definitely not Sam Darcy this week. He's got the Bombers, so you keep him. Who goes out of McKercher, Flanders, or Jack Martin? I'm assuming it's one of Flanders or Martin, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Martin played forward on the weekends. He played forward and wing, so he wasn't defence, and that was where he started. Obviously came into the side. So that's probably a concern. Flanders was actually really good. Obviously, you probably got to hold him because Took's obviously out, but Rioli's gone down. I doubt he's going to go to halfback, but who knows? I think it's Martin that would be my. It's just he's forward, and you just don't know what he's going to do.
No, I think Jack Martin's been a fun ride, but
yeah,
the key to success of a Jack Martin pick is getting off before it all blows up in your face. Flanders. The interesting thing about Gold Coast is Miller went down, and they didn't really bring anyone in. It was just Bailey Humphrey who
got the big bump.
Was given a heap, and he was. I don't want to say nowhere near it, but he wasn't very much near it. So I just wonder if at Gold Coast this week they think, well, maybe it is time to get Flanders in there a bit more. I think that's more likely than him going to half back, because I think Connor Buderick had a really big second half, and I reckon he might get that role.
That's what I'm thinking.
This week. But yeah, out of those, I'll be Jack Martin. It's been fun, but yeah.
You make a very good point. Get off before it all blows up. You got the score last week, which is better than a lot of the other forwards. You get the cash gen. He's got North, so you can hold for one more week. But if you're trading one of these guys this week, just do Jack Martin, and then you can. Because Flanders has got Gold Coast. So he's plays for Gold Coast. He's got Brisbane in the Q Clash this week. But then he's got Richmond next week. So you're probably keeping him for the Richmond matchup. If you can loop him as well, they play early. Maybe loop McCarthy. I think that's fine, and get Jack Martin to Matt Kennedy if you don't have him. Grind Myers if you're looking for another forward as well. I think that would be where I'd be going, Jordy.
Yeah, I agree. He said he can go to anyone. I guess that's the only thing with Martin is he's a forward, so you might be locked with you're probably going to get a better upgrade in the other lines because there's some really nice options. But if he hasn't got Kennedy, I think Jack Martin to Kennedy is really nice.
Great trade if you can do that. Max Hardcastle, who goes first out of Long, Chera, and Rankin? It's a very good question, that one. Is it though?
If Tom Mitchell's he was out this week and Long did well, I just wonder if Tom Mitchell's back. That seems to hurt him.
I wouldn't actually be shocked if Long got a rest this week. They rested Tom Mitchell last week. He comes back in. Long hasn't been rested yet, and he's been pretty good. He's had a big role in that midfield, first real full year. I wouldn't be shocked against Richmond if he just goes, Longy, we're going to need you in the finals and that. Just have a rest. And Mitchell comes back in. So that could just something to flag.
That would help.
Part of me, if you're going to the midfield, part of me leans to going Chera out, holding Long for an extra week because of the matchup if he's there. Because Rankin, unless you don't have if you've don't have Kennedy, I think Rankin to Kennedy is probably what I'd do. But if you've already got Kennedy, and I don't really think Rankin to another forward's really going to net you huge amount of guaranteed points. Whereas Long or Chera, if you can get one of those two guys up to a Jack Steele, Josh Dunkley, Marcus Bontempelli, one of those guys, I think you're getting a 20, 30-point upgrade with their ceiling. So I'd probably go there. And Chera's got a tough matchup. And I think he's got, 76 in his last 3 or something like that. So, I'd probably go one of those two out, Max, if I'm looking there. Your boy Zena says, Warner or Manor, Jordox? Where would you go here? Is it the more trustworthy guy that's near top 6 in Warner, or is it Manor?
I would say Warner, but let me have a quick look. I'd go Warner for sure.
I agree. Tim Charlesworth, Parker to Myers or Rouston to Jack Ross as a 23rd primo to loop with McCarthy who is currently on field for me. Tim, I think what I would probably do, if McCarthy's on your field, I would just upgrade McCarthy personally if you can get him up to someone. Obviously, if you can't get him up all the way, Jordy, where would you go there? Would you just go Parker to Myers and just leave McCarthy on field, or would you go Rouston to Jack Ross and loop McCarthy with Ross?
Yeah, so Rouston to Jack Ross, what would that be, about 200K? So he's probably got 200K on McCarthy. So yeah, it might be short of someone. Depends how much money he's got.
So Ross is priced at 726. Okay. So if you're going Rouse up, and that's near 300K. So you could go to someone in the 800s. But again, I don't know exactly who that would be that Tim would be going to.
Well, if he's got the cheaper, if he's got 300K, would it be about 300K or 250K?
Yeah, about 275.
Yeah. He might be able to. Yeah, Bailey Dale or Sinclair might be just out of reach. But yeah, probably Bailey Dale. Or can you use DPP and Just maybe you get a forward or something around there. Yeah, I agree with you though. I think maybe if you can upgrade McCarthy to a keeper, that's probably going to net you more points.
Yeah. Mo says Jack Martin to McRae or Doc to Whitfield, banking 200k. I don't know if I love either trade, to be honest, because Jordy, we talked about this on Sunday night. I wouldn't be trading into McRae, not with Nassiah playing the midfield with Jack Steele.
Yeah,
but I think I'd rather trade Jack Martin over Docherty. But I wouldn't.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd want to go to Whitfield this week because of the tag. Is it just Jack Martin to a forward?
Yeah, G McRae.
I'd go McRae. It was one bad game, and yeah, was it that bad? I mean, it was crap. I brought him in this week, but
CBAs were down.
I just
Nassiah
wa-
was the number
yeah.
one.
It's worry with Nassiah inside now, like full time inside, and then Hunter Clark was the sub and just basically came on in the fourth, and no McRae. But you're right. Like, there's not many forward options. I don't know. I'm just going to wait on it, I think. But yeah, I don't know.
So you reckon Nassiah stays in the middle?
I reckon he was pretty unreal. They're talking about him
Yeah.
being the best player in the comp next year, probably by next year. So, and they're trying to get his trade value up, or if he stays, his price. I think it's good. It helps Sinclair down back. I think, as Bale said, Steele can't really. He's the captain. He'll be in there. And then that third banana is a bit of McRae, a bit of Boxall, a bit of Hunter Clark, a bit of someone else. So there has been a change there. Obviously McRae was the number 2 banana behind Steele, but now Nassiah's in there. It's sort of like a change, but he's still going to have CBAs, but it might just not be as high as what he used to be. But he's probably fine. It's just I'm probably just going to wait on him, I think. But
I think
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with waiting, but I wouldn't get too scared.
Yeah,
for
Don't
one
jump at
bad
shadows.
Yeah.
Tim was just saying before as well, because obviously he said he might be going McCarthy. He's got 935k to upgrade McCarthy to any position, and he says could do Laird. He's obviously 2k short of
Sinclair.
2k short of Sinclair. I don't mind Lairdy. I don't mind him. He's been consistent all year. I think if you don't have Matt Kennedy, he's my number 1, and I think I've probably then got I don't know if Dale or Laird, that's sort of the one. You probably got to go Dale, who's cheaper, but I feel like Laird's never going to get tagged, whereas Dale could just get someone sitting on him against Essendon and then maybe the Giants. But you probably have to go Dale. But
Hopefully he's got a defender mid.
He's 8 something. 894.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a couple of shockers too. Do
go
we trust
Lairdy.
Dale?
Go do something fun, Tim. Tim, depending on where you're ranked, right? If you're near the top 100, it's probably it might not be as risky.
He might be Coast Sport as well.
Yeah. I don't mind the Laird pick, but I know that people are just going to go, Bales loves Lairdy. So, yeah, I don't mind it. Ace Wish has got to put in a super chat. Thank you, mate. He's saying, can you look at my message above about Matthew Johnson, Merritt, and Zerk Thatcher? Zerk Thatcher's an interesting name. Where is a switch question? Here we go. So his question here: Matthew Johnson is a forced trade. Don't want Stengel or Zerk Thatcher in the 22. I'm assuming you got both those guys. Should I go Stengel to Teakle and Johnson up to a 900k player, or just loop and keep Johnson on the bench for 1 to 2 weeks and go Merritt to Dunkley? I think you're not looking at Merritt to Dunkley because you've got Zerk Thatcher and Stengel have got to go out of your team. So I'd be trading those guys, as well. So I wouldn't be keeping him as an injured player for one. I think in this case, I think Stengel to Teakle does make sense, and then Johnson up to someone 900k. So like we mentioned, a Bailey Dale makes sense. Maybe even a Harley Reid for your team, Ace Wish, could make a bit of sense, make a bit of money from Harley Reid. That will bank you a bit of money, and then that might also help you get someone else up next week. So one of those guys, Ace Wish, is what I look at doing, mate. But thank you for the super chat. Mia is in the chat as well. So Mia, obviously coach of Rosie's Cheeks, says drop from 2nd to 3rd. So he's still very, very much up there. Nassiah is a must in this week. I either trade Doc or Colby to Nassiah. However, if I do trade Doc, I need to trade McCarthy to get there, or do I trade Colby and loop Doc with McCarthy? So Jordy, as you're the one coach that is
Oh.
up closer to there than what me and Jordox are. What are your thoughts on Mia's question?
I saw this question and it's difficult because, like, definitely getting Nassiah, I think that's a big thing to match the rest. I think that's a good call. The thing with getting trading, I do like Doc this week, but it is a trade next week. He's gonna be out.
If you get Carnage.
But it could be like she's third. Like, what if Doc goes big, and that's going to help, and you get Nassiah. I'm probably leaning to. It probably has to be Doc, doesn't it? Just because it's a forced trade. I don't know. It's tough.
I'm probably trade Doc because of the position that you're in, but I did obviously talk about this before. I would still be.
You can loop as well.
I would still be considering just waiting maybe a week on the side, and then maybe getting a premium that you like. Mia banking a little bit of cash and then upgrading to Nassiah next week. Maybe you hold McCarthy for an extra week. Maybe that extra 20K he makes potentially could help you. But obviously, you're the one that's up there, right? You're up there in the top 3. So if Nassiah goes big, then I'll feel awful. So if you want Nassiah, I'm fine trading McCarthy because he's not. I don't think he's going to make another 150, 200K, right? So in this time of the year, just got to get the points on field. So I'd be fine trading him and getting Nassiah in. I think you still rather Colby moving forward as much as maybe keeping Doc as that fairy tale story in your team. I'd still be fine.
It's a real tight one because you could loop as well.
But I don't mind the idea, Mia, of going like a Zach Johnson or someone like that down if you've got one of them on your bench down. And going to maybe a Jack Steele and then going to Nassiah next week. But I know a lot of people say get Nassiah this week. So whichever one you decide, good luck, me. We hope you go well up the top. Go a couple more questions as we do wrap up the show. There's a lot of questions still flying through. It is still pretty good, Jordox. I know you've chatted about this when we've done this. It's pretty incredible. People are still putting in all these questions at this late stage in the season. Is pretty incredible.
It's awesome. This is, a lot of people drop off well before round 20. And it just speaks to the quality of coaches that follow us, that, whether they have a good years or not, they still want to learn, they still want to improve and be better for the run for 2026. I know I'm looking forward to 2026.
Have you started the team yet?
Nah, it's funny actually. But Bales went this last year. I think in the summer he was talking to me about Classic. I'm like, mate, I have to switch off for a period, otherwise I'll go mental if I. So I'm not thinking about nothing for my lineups for next year. Just focusing on my keeper leagues and my delistings and all that stuff.
Yeah. Shannon Barron, upgrade McCarthy or Lohman? Looking at anyone, looking at Nassiah or Matt Kennedy. So, Jordy, where would you go here? Is it like a Lohman to a Kennedy, or is it McCarthy to Nassiah? Because I wonder if Shannon can still do the other one next week, because that would be probably deciding. If you can't get Nassiah, I'd almost go there. But if you can do both, is it Lohman to Kennedy this week?
Yeah. What's going to bank more points? Like Lohman, I mean, Jordox, you're the Lohman man. He's been pretty consistent, has he? Or has he dropped to 40 there and abouts? There's probably potentially 60 points if he does a 40-50 compared to a Kennedy 100. But, if Naz has gone 150 and McCarthy's gone 70, that's 80 points.
It's really tricky. It's because in simple terms, it's got to be Lohman out, because that 78 was awesome, but I wouldn't bank on that. Whereas McCarthy, we know that he gets his way to 70. Well, in his short career, we've seen it. But then the upgrade target, Naz or Kennedy, I don't know. I reckon
Kennedy does have Essendon this week.
And Lohman's playing against Brisbane, potentially in... Oh, sorry. I've said that now for Flanders playing against Gold Coast and Lohman playing Brisbane. That's their bloody teams. Lohman's playing Gold Coast, but if it's going to be really wet, that could be a really low score.
No, I reckon I reckon if you could get Naz next week, if you've got a bit of a loose plan to do that, I'd be doing Lohman to Kennedy.
Yep.
Stu said about Mia's question, how are you second with no Nassiah? That's hell good. And yes, that is a very good point, Stu. Mia, that is an incredible season that you've been able to still be in the top 3 and not have Nassiah any part of the season. That's pretty incredible there. And Mia was saying, yeah, even I'm shocked that I don't have Nassiah. Look, I think I'll just trade McCarthy and Doc. And that is completely fine. If you want to get Nassiah, go get Nassiah and enjoy, because even if he gets tagged, he got a 74 against James Jordan, who's probably the best tagger out there. So you're getting an 80, 90 anyway, and then you're going to have these big scores, I think, on the run home. So, yep, go lock Nassiah in.
And who knows?
And if Doc does go big on Thursday, it will be rough, but it's a forced trade that you've avoided. So just look at it that way. Yeah,
that's a good point. And then we'll go. So Glenn says Nassiah or Steele this week. I think both are great. Both got great matchups. If you can get Nassiah next week, Steele. But if you can't get, it's literally only one and you can't get the other one, you just go Nassiah. I think that's what I would be doing. And I think we'll probably call it there, I reckon. Actually, we'll go this last one here from Sultan Jordox to wrap up. Trade out Doc and Rankin for Whitfield or Sinclair and Kennedy, or trade Rouston and then Jack Martin to Kennedy. So are you doing the 2 sideways moves and getting Doc, Rankin to Sinclair, Kennedy? Or would you go rookie down and Rouston down and then go Martin to Kennedy?
Sometimes when you have these long questions, Bales, my brain goes, stop thinking about anything and concentrate on what Bales is saying. But then by the time I've said that to myself, you've already said everything. So I'm going to need to repeat or put it on the screen. Can you put it on the screen?
Yes, I'll put it on the screen there. We normally only do super chats on the screen, but we'll do it for this one. So Sultan.
It's the end of the pod. My brain is mushy. All right. Trade out Doc and Rankin for Whitfield, Sinclair, Kennedy. It's pretty good. Or Rouston
I'd go Sinclair this week out of those two.
Kennedy. So trade so Doc and Rankin for Whitfield and Kennedy, if that's it. Or trade Rouston to a kid and then Jack Martin to Kennedy, I'm guessing. I'd do the latter. I'd go Rouston down, Martin for Kennedy, and then let's go Doc for the farewell tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go Doc to Whitfield next week. I'd agree. I'd do that.
And that will be Rankin will win the showdown medal, maybe. Something like that. That'd be nice.
We'll see how that goes. Looking forward to that on Saturday night. But that will wrap us up for another Tuesday night Q&A. But as we always do, as we wrap up, we go through our current trade plans as of Tuesday night. And Jordy, we'll start with you, who I know you said in the group chat, you said, nah, hat's gone. But, mate, you were still in it. Even Lemon said it. Even Lemon said you were still very much in the hunt.
When did he say it?
On his Patreon pod. The Lemon League. So, what are you looking at doing your trades this week, mate? Because I know you've said you might make a couple of moves to try and get those points.
Yeah, well, all week I was trading Doc out, but I'm not going to now. I am going to bank that farewell game. I'm hoping for a 110. So, and I can loop him as well with McCarthy. So I'm going to do that. So that leaves Chera now as my outs. Now, this is where I'm unsure where to go. I don't know. If Tika was named solo ruck, I'm thinking about getting him as an F7 for a loop because I've got Mason Wood. And then I can trade Chera to Sinclair, which I think is an upgrade. If Nassiah's in the midfield, I think Sinclair with his run is a really good price. So I think that's an upgrade. And then basically my next league would be Doc or McCarthy to someone. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. The other trade is I don't go Tika and I go right down to a rookie and I go Chera to Jack Steele. So it'll depend on team sheets, but I'll make sure I lock Chera out Thursday night and then I can have a play. But I think I'm going to stick with Wood with the matchup and the forwards aren't really presenting themselves. That's what I'm thinking of doing.
Yeah. Jordox?
At this stage, it will be Zach Johnson down to, who's that Carlton boy? Billy
Wilson.
Let's just call him Wilson. Yeah, Billy the Kid. I'm hoping he comes back in. We'll find out tomorrow night, I guess. But even if he doesn't, I need to get a 230K guy. So it's at this point of the year, I'm probably happy to just bring in anyone, if I'm honest. My bench is in pretty good shape. Although not really. But anyway, that's the only way I can get Grundy. Nick Martin to Grundy is the other move. So got to find the cash.
Yeah. I like that, but she's pretty good shape. Maybe not.
Well, I just looked at it. Actually, Buslinger, if he's in this week, we're in business.
Could you imagine? People might not be happy because people might be looping a Doc.
Yeah,
and then like
loop.
Bus
28 touches. 28 touches in the twos. Could do with something a bit different in that back line. Anyway,
that's all right.
That's it. I'm going to try and get Grundy.
Yeah. And my current trades at the moment, I still do have Docherty going out along with Manny Liddy. So I've got Liddy down to just a red dot because funny enough, I didn't have enough green dots during the buys earlier in the year. Now I've got green dots, don't have many red dots to loop. So unless a Hasty got dropped this week, I'm looking at going and getting a red dot. So I've got Mentha from Melbourne because he's got the defender forward flexibility. And then going Doc to Jack Steele. That is my current trades at the moment. But part of me is thinking, well, do I want Doc? Could go Caleb Daniel down to a Bryn Teagle and then still go maybe a Mills up or something like that. Or even go a McCarthy up and put Doc as my D7 for the week. So a few interesting options I could play around with. But I think for my team, it's still probably got to trade out Doc, unfortunately, there. But I will see what we do with trades. But that will wrap us up for tonight. But if you do want a guaranteed answer, as always, to your AFL fantasy questions, or you'd like a team review, or if you'd like to just maybe give a little thanks to all the content throughout the year, and you just like to sign up for the Patreon, because we only got, about a month left the season, or just over. So if you want to sign up, feel free. Patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Maybe you just want to see what the Patreon's about for maybe next year. Then feel free if you'd like to. That link is in the description of the podcast or the video. But Jordy, mate, thank you for jumping on once again. Where can the people find you?
Just Jordan to center on X.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, mate. Jordox, where can the people find you?
On X at Jordox 2020. And I've got the Finders Keepers podcast going this year as well. That's on X at FindKeepFL. And of course at AFL's First to hear who the subs are on the weekend.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, mate. And you can find me at BAILSDT and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. We'll be back on Friday, as always, for our pre-lockout chat, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. per time, answering a heap more of your questions. I'll be back throughout the week doing all the other content and stuff, recording the Patreon Q&A tomorrow night. So, as I said, if you want to join the Patreon, feel free. Or if you're already on the Patreon, get your questions in. I'll be doing the Q&A tomorrow night. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll chat to you guys a little bit later in the week. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.